Hi, this is Shirai. I just wanted to give you some updates of the situation. I've been basically bedridden. I've been having heart problems and um, running a fever, so I got up pretty late this afternoon and I didn't elaborate on what's basically is happening through this secret and national ID of stealing individuals' identity. It's based on a habeas corpus, what I'm going through. It is a restrictions of rights, but in the dictionary, the law dictionary, and common law jurisdictions, the habeas corpus, or more precisely habeas corpus, as a gentiendum, is a prerogative writ, or WRIT, which requires the addresses to produce in court a person in which custody and justified his or her imprisonment, known as the Great Writ. The writ of habeas corpus could be used not only in criminal cases, but in cases of imprisonment for private debt. In many jurisdictions today, the writ can also be issued against private individuals. The word habeas corpus ad suggesendum are Latin for you shall have/hold the body in custody, to be subject to examination, and are taken from opening words for writ in the medieval times. Other habeas corpus writs also exist, and it says here, e.g., habeas corpus ad testificandum for the productions of prisoners to give evidence in court. The right of habeas corpus has long been celebrated as the most effective safeguard of liberty of the subject. And it says by Dixie, who wrote that the habeas corpus acts declared no principle and defined no right, but they are for practical purpose worth 100 Constitution articles guaranteed individual liberty. And the institution has been incorporated into the laws of several countries that do not follow the common law system. However, in most countries, the right of habeas corpus can be suspended in the times of national security, and that is including the Patriot Act, which is the war on terror in our country. But it does not restrict individual citizens of habeas corpus. It's just individuals they hold in captivity. Now, the problem is that I have been subjugated, or the 13th Amendment basically restricting my rights, which is unlawful, and I have been held, or my identity been held in captivity by those who do not want to be scrutinized, or the newspaper getting hold of what has the major encroachments of our civil liberties and civil rights. This is an unbelievable situation. I wish on no one. But I think what's happening, like I explained to you in earlier YouTube, is basically they're taking my identity, which I own, and they're pretty much creating clones out of it. And so therefore, in order to safeguard the clones, I have to look like a clone myself, the original person. And usually the original person of that identity don't survive. And this is a national security concern, because basically you're taking water. You have the picture, you know how you find water in the picture. That's basically what you have. You have 311 million Americans find water in that picture, the original person. How can you find it when you have all these other people under that identity? Only way you can find it, in my case, I pretty much is through DNA analysis or forensic biometrics, which I have a rare blood type O. So it is unbelievable what they have done in order to hide. So in other words, will I well, these individuals who is hijacking my identity, getting safeguard and citizenship in this country in order to bypass the legality of becoming U.S. citizen based on the war on terror. So there is a national security concern at this point. It's like, who is the original Wardo in this picture, or the original Shirai in this picture? Where is this? This means that how many more Americans, if I'm a person of national defense and I'm watching this YouTube of Shirai, I'm like, what the hell's going on? You mean to tell me that someone can duplicate her identity, her driver's license or state ID, cross state lines, get into another Department of Motor Vehicle, and produce another driver's license, a legitimate driver's license with their picture and that person's social security number, and then come back and then change it, or decide not to come back and there's two duplicates. Then you got all these clones being created based on a duplication of one person's identity. And the reason why this is happening is because our system is decentralized. Our Department of Motor Vehicles throughout the United States are decentralized. That's what I'm getting at. I was shocked when I learned it. So if they were centralized, they wouldn't be able to do it. Therefore, it will be a flag saying, no, you cannot get this because we already, here we got someone who's trying to fraudulently get someone's identity. They're called law enforcement for them to be arrested if this was centralized, but it's decentralized. So I can go across Indiana border and go to their Department of Motor Vehicle and take the Shirai's ID and get an Indiana State driver's license and be riding the road, and ain't nothing nobody can do about it because I'm legitimate according to Indiana State's license. But if they were to reconcile, if they were to audit, and this is the Accountability Act, if they were to audit the system of all 50 states, they will find that there were duplicates in that social security number. And then those people who have that address will be arrested because they're on fraudulent identity. That's one way. I have several ways to combat this issue. Basically, having IT reconcile all this, audit IT, reconcile these systems. So there will be basically an internal audit that will reconcile these systems and find all these duplications in all 50 states. Now, we know where the original is at this point in time. So how in the hell was this individual able to cross state lines? First of all, the original never lost her state license or driver's license. So how did they obtain a duplicate? Then cross borders and then go to the DMV and get copies with their picture and their names. You see what I'm getting at? So there is a lack of security, a national security concern right now, because if that's the case, we may have terrorists doing this and planning another terrorist attack. This is Shirai.